And we're back with Marc Lee Shannon. Marc, it's been a great interview so far. I'm going to get into some very tough questions, and if there's some that you don't want to answer, you can just say that. I won't get offended.
No, it should be fine. I think we'll be all right.
So one of the questions, how did you find out about Michael's illness?
So I was up doing a session, and this was for the record that was released. And I said to him, I said, so how you been doing? Because, we knew that there had been some, he goes, I don't know, they found some stuff, and I got to go get some tests. I said, well, what is it? And he goes, they just found a spot. And Michael was not a guy that ever talked about feeling sick, ever. It just wasn't his way. Stiff upper lip English, right? And then, that was all I needed to know, right? And then we got the news.
When you got done talking to him, who was your first bandmate that you reached out to about it?
We didn't do that.
You guys didn't do that?
We didn't do that, no. I mean, we all had such enormous respect for Michael, or I didn't do it. I don't know what everybody else did, but I didn't call everybody else to say, hey, I just talked to Michael, I heard about this, because we knew Michael well enough to know that if he was telling me, he had probably shared it with other people too.
Right.
So one of the things when you're dealing with a guy like Michael Stanley that's so well known, to be their friends means that you guard their privacy with, the toughest possible way. You just don't, if anybody would ask me a personal question about Michael that I didn't know, I would just not answer it, because that was his privacy. Right?
On that fateful day, how did you find out about his passing?
We knew it was coming. So the Friday before, February 26th, Michael had texted me that week, and it had been a progression.
Right.
And I'll leave it at that without getting too personal. But there have been a number of things. Communication had stopped. We had heard through people that it was getting worse. But we didn't know what we were dealing with, but we knew that at some point after Christmas and the holidays, we knew that we all had to come to accept that it was going to come, the end was coming, right? So on February 26th, I was supposed to go up to the house. He had texted me that week. He said, Sauce Man, I need you to come at the house. I want you to get some stuff. And so I knew right then that was probably the last time I was going to see him. So
how did you deal with it?
So
after it
was what happened that day was the day came. It was that Friday, and I got a call. Later, I had learned that Simzik had come up to drop off the record, the tapes, the final mixes, and Michael didn't want to see anybody, and those two had been friends forever, and it had gone badly for them, emotional. And Michael was getting very emotional at the time, so he called me that day after he had said, come up and get some stuff, which I knew what that meant. He called me and he said, Sauce Man, I gotta postpone. I said, okay, man, okay, I whatever, man, whatever you need to do, it's cool. He goes, okay, and hung up. And didn't say goodbye. He didn't say anything. And I knew. Turns out what I've heard is that might have been one of the last phone calls he made to the band. Wow. And I was probably one of the last people he might have seen. But from what I understand is that, things went at the end pretty quickly, and his daughters and the family just wanted everybody to be very, very comfortable. You know what I mean? But it was a tough finish for all of us.
Did you spend a little time alone, just trying to reflect a little bit?
When I got the news, I think it was a text from one of the band members, and I just sat there. And forgive my language, but I thought to myself, holy crap, the shit show is going to start now. And it did. When the news was announced that Michael was passed, I think within an hour, I had several hundred Facebook messages. I had call after call from people, close friends, and people who might have known me a little bit. I had hundreds of text messages, and I was pretty overwhelmed, you know, because all of a sudden everybody was with, I think, for the most part, mostly kind, right? But I just couldn't handle it. And so we found out Friday, Saturday, I went out. A friend of mine said, I gotta get you out of the house, man. You know, so we went out to a local restaurant that has great huevos and churros. And all I wanted to do is get some fucking eggs and rice and beans and and tortillas, man, and literally I couldn't eat breakfast because I had so many people coming up to me during the meal saying, I'm sorry about it. I'm looking at like, I just want to eat my breakfast. So then I knew I had to get out of town. I called up some family that lives in Florida, and I said, I'm on a plane. And I left for about a week to get things sorted for me, and spent a lot of time walking on the beaches in Jensen Beach, Florida, just crying my eyes out, you know, and listening to music. And just hard to believe that I'd lost my friend, that we had lost him, you know. And it was just really hard for me to believe that I wouldn't see him or talk to him again, or the Resurrections would never play again, you know. That was it. Turning point. Car crash. Slam. Bang. Over. And that's something that's still really hard for us all to accept when we see each other, because time's going to go on now. Right. And it's never going to happen again that we will ever play.
How was the overwhelming support from all the fans? How's that affected you personally?
What's really great is the people that have respected privacy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the people that have come up and supported. And there's also been a movement, and you guys are certainly involved in it, to continue to support the people that were part of that band in the things that they're doing now going forward.
Absolutely.
Right? Because we can't ever go back, no matter how hard. You know, and I think back, I wake up some nights in the middle of a dream and we're playing together someplace. You know what I mean? And I woke up and for a second I'm like, was that a dream? Was that a dream? Did that? And it's so real. Michael's there, everybody's there, we're rocking, it's thousands of people we're playing for. And then I wake up and it's so weird. It's so weird, it's still happening.
How overwhelming was the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame turnout with all the fans and you guys?
We were all pretty numb, I think, to
Yeah.
what was really going on. I think that, you know, it was more about, for me, what it was to me was not just the fans and everything, the outpouring of love for Michael. It was just like, how lucky were you?
Yeah. For all the fans out there that are watching this, and say something to them. Whatever's on your mind and your heart, to all the fans.
Well, we want to say thank you. And we want to say that, you know, just keep playing the music. All those records, you know, it's the most important thing, is keeping the music alive. That's what Michael would have wanted. He wouldn't want you to be sad. He wouldn't want you to cry at his grave. He'd want you to turn the tunes up, roll down the windows, and enjoy it.
Do you have a favorite quote?
You know, Michael and I, you know, we did a lot of writing together, but I remember one time when I was just starting to try to get sober again. I wasn't going to get sober again, but it was during a stretch where I had a good run. And Michael called me and he said to me, he said, how you doing today? You know, it was one of my times after one of my relapses. And I said, you know, man, all I need is one good day in a row. And then he took that line, he wrote a song out of it. You know what I mean? And
wow.
so then when that one day in a row, which is on I think the solo year CD, when he did that, he invited me to come up, and I got to play some really Spanish-style guitar. If you listen to that song, I'm the guy playing the nylon string, the Spanish-style guitar. And that's the stuff that I remember.
Yeah.
I'll be going somewhere, or I'll be listening to Spotify, and I'll listen to a song and go, wait a minute. Wait, I played on that, you know. And people ask me, well, what do you remember? And I don't remember, because there was a lot of times when we would come into play, especially me, I came in pretty early on songs, so that may not have been fully finished. And I listened to like stuff like, I know I'm playing guitar, I'm pissed. I know I'm singing on I'm pissed, but I'm going, which part was it? Because Michael, when he would hire me to come up and play, he would have really good ideas, like, hey, let's try this, try this. And so I was molding my playing to what he wanted to say.
Right.
But I listened to a lot of the stuff, especially the solo year stuff. And I'm just so honored to be a part of those records, you know, to hear my playing on those records. It's just a thrill to me.
We're going to move into your musical career, your solo stuff, but thank you very much for the personal insight about you and Michael and Sharon. I know we all know it's tough right now, and everybody heals differently.
Yeah, it's tough. It really is. I mean, he was such a big part of our life, and it's like I was talking to Kaz last night, you know, and Jonah Kaz, when we did this show the other day, and we were off in a dressing room, and he goes, what are we going to do with this 500-pound gorilla now?
Yeah.
It's always on the table. And I said, I don't know, man. We just kind of probably should do it one step at a time, one day at a time, you know?
Can I ask you, and I don't know what's going on, but any chance of a tribute or anything to get you guys back together? Is there anything I can do?
I think at some point, you know, all of us are all going to get together and play when the circumstances are right. I know that there's some talk going on right now. I'd say the best thing is just to stay tuned at this point.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
You know, moving into
we want to do it. We just got to figure out how to do it. And you know, here's the other thing, guys, is that who's going to sing the songs?
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
I can tell you.
How do we?
Mark, Lee, Jennifer, Eric.
But I think the fans, you know, have got to really kind of be willing.
Yeah.
For us to be able to go through that experience, because it's going to be really hard for us to do that.
And I think some of the fans, majority of them,
yeah,
would accept whatever happens.
Because it's not going to be like it was. It
yeah,
would be us trying to do our best of honoring those songs. Right.
You know, and everybody knows, because they see me on Facebook, you know, you're my guitar teacher.
Yeah.
And you're pretty tough on me. But
not that tough.
I'm very
tough on some people.
I think I got my vocals. I think I could come out and sing some Michael Stanley songs. I mean, can I audition?
It's tough. It's a tough house. Trust me. There's some really tough people in there. But I, in all seriousness, it's a monumental task to put together. Because
Absolutely.
How do you begin to pick the songs?
Right.
How do you begin to understand what the audience wants to hear?
Right.
And I think that there just has to be a general, everybody's got their arms around each other saying, we don't know how to do this, we want to do this.
Yeah.
But, you know, ideally what I'd like to do, for me what would be best, would be to have a yearly concert around the time of either Christmas or around the time of his birthday.
Yeah.
To honor Michael.
Absolutely.
Just have a yearly, we all get together and it's like a family reunion.
Everybody would
That's
love
the
that.
best I could see.
Everybody would.
If you're
absolutely.
asking me what Marc Lee Shannon would like, I'd like a family reunion once a year.
So let's move on to your solo projects.
Sure.
Midlife Chryslers, are we going to see them anymore?
You know, we tried to do that one time, and it was difficult for me. I don't know what it was like for everybody else, but I missed having Michael on that other side of the stage.
Yeah.
That band it started as the Shannon Stanley Band, you know, and we had played Kent together, we had played as a trio, we had played, and it was always that Michael did a song, I did a song, Michael did a song, I did a song. So when we played together, it was great to play those songs with everybody else. But there was this huge hole.
Yeah.
And so what I say never, I'll never say never.
Right.
But, you know, is there anything off in the distance right now? I don't see anything. But, you know, again, you just never know. You never know.
So over the pandemic, we all know how bad the pandemic was. It hurt musicians, restaurants, bars, venues. It's pretty much a catastrophe for the music industry, what happened through the pandemic. So you guys made it through it, but it seems to me you've really come through it, because you not only have you gotten more gigs and you're out here working, you did a new album, you just released a new song about Michael, which is tremendous. Did you see it opening up like this
one thing you have to understand about a working artist is that you are used to, or you don't get to play in the arena. You have to deal with adversity. So for us, losing gigs, when I retired from my job at Earthquake Devices on March 5th, I had 140 solo jobs booked for the rest of the year. And that was not even filling in the fall and Christmas. So I knew that it was going to be a 160, 170 year date for me, which was probably about as good as I'd ever done. When the pandemic hit, it all moved away. Now, I'm a businessman. What people don't know about if you're going to live and work as an artist, it's a business you run. Right? So I had everything together. I mean, I paid taxes as a musician. I've done it all above board. So I was able to, use some of the resources that were available to other businesses to be able to keep my business floating, And that's the way I see what I do now. I mean, every transaction goes into QuickBooks. I mean, I'm a working artist. It's not a half-a sort of like we'll show up after smoking a couple joints at rehearsal. Right. That's not the way it works when you're a professional, okay? And the one thing that I think that a lot of people don't get a sense of is they see all these movies where musicians do this, you know what I mean? Those guys, they don't last. If you're gonna make it in the music business like Michael or anybody else and literally live and support yourself, it's a job. You have to work at it. And so when the pandemic hit, I saw it as a chance to regroup and get myself together. There was something I couldn't change about it. I was doing a lot of writing. I moved from in-person guitar lessons to online guitar lessons, which worked out okay for me. I was able to survive.
It was pretty cool to do a guitar lesson with Marc Shannon on Zoom. I recorded the whole thing. I mean, to me, that was like...
I get it. I was able to survive and I was able to live. But on the other side of the coin, being a businessman, I knew that I had to condense my expense base. And there was no spending going on. You know what I mean? There was no buying new things or none of that stuff. So I survived it, got through it, and I was doing some writing. And then with the new record that's coming out, my producer, Ryan Humber, and I were going to do a completely different record last year at this time. It was going to be called Family Tradition. It was going to be a solo record, one song, one mic, and we started to do it, and it was so intense, so dark, that we decided, you know what, let's go a different way. And so other songs started coming out much more up-tempo, with a real soulful, vibe that really matches my voice and where I want to go now as an artist. I mean, 18, Walk This Road for me was really, hey, I'm back, bitch. Here's a record after 8 years, 10 years. But this next record, Lucky 7, is really more about, the right players, the right songs. It's live musicians playing together.
Wow.
It's not a cheap record. This is the real deal. We made it
so you brought everybody into the studio?
Old school style.
Wow.
And it was expensive. And we did it, and I don't give a shit, excuse my language, because I wanted to be done. Because one of the things that is constantly in my mind that I've lost Michael is that, you just never know.
Right,
if there's one phrase that I would always say, Michael used to say a lot, is, you just never know. And so for me, you don't know if, I'll get hit by a car tomorrow or I'll, get sick. So I'm living today and putting everything into full effort into everything I'm doing today. The new songs I believe are good. There's a lot of songs that didn't make it on. There's 8 songs on the record. There's 7 songs. That's why we call them Lucky 7. But it's also a celebration of me being sober for 7 years. That's not the primary purpose of the record. The songs are about getting sober, none of that stuff. But for me, there's 7 songs, and they are kind of Lucky 7 for me. But it's also just so happens that we're going to release it on my anniversary, God willing, of 7 years of being sober, which is November 10th, 2021.
Well, one of the things we were talking about, you said this is one of your favorite records. It's like a lot of emotions into this.
It just there's a lot of fun songs in it. There's songs about love and romance and being single and all that stuff. It's really about where things are right now. And I redid an older song that Michael and I had recorded because I just wanted it to be more soulful and it was kind of an ode to that old record that Michael and I did. We did that. It just happened. We recorded that. We've also done a couple covers. One of them is actually just one cover, and that is an old Bad Company song. And I've got Jackie from the Vindies and Rick Deek from the Vindies playing on it. And I've got Ed Davis from the Vindies playing drums, Kevin Martinez, Dave Young from the Resonators played all the keyboards on all the record.
Yeah.
And it's produced by Ryan Humbert, recorded by Jimmy Stewart, Jim Stewart's recording. And it was captured in photographs and in video by my good friend Angelo Marinadino. And he was like a band member during this whole thing. So there are photographs and videos of this whole thing, which we're going to be releasing as the record comes out, and little clips and little promotion stuff. So he was like a musician in the studio, capturing everything as it went down, because we really just felt like you just never know.
Would you mind telling everybody the story from A Train, how that came about?
So the Sound of a Train is
Sound of a Train
is a song that Michael and I did, and I recorded it on Walk This Road. But it was meant to be for the second record, because the first record, people ask me, what's some of the nicest things Michael ever did for me in my memories? And I'm just going to go to that right now. He did this for me. And this is my record that's just been re-released from Land Level Records. It's called Any Ordinary Man. This was released in 2007, but it is the only record Michael ever produced for anyone else. It's the only one. So I'm blessed to know that, I don't know, maybe when he got done with me, he just said, I'm not doing that shit anymore.
This is the same.
I'm doing that. But
how did this song come about?
So the song was really about me sitting in my house late at night, and at night around, and unfortunately in that room, things were not going well for me at that point in my sobriety, and I would sit in this room, and every night around 10:40 at night, there'd be a train. And I just imagined this story about, two people who loved each other, who heard trains in maybe different cities, but it always made them think of each other. So the sound of a train is all it is about. I'm thinking about you, honey. I'm thinking about you, baby. You know what I mean? And I was just divorced and heartbroken, and it was really about that. It was about hoping to find love and imagining what it would be like in that song. So I gave the song a demo to Michael. We didn't record the second record. In about 2014, fast forward a bunch, 7 years, I guess, I got out of the hospital after going in for treatment, and he sent me a text and said, "Sauce Man, check out your email." So I did, and there it was, a WAV file of him recording that song, Sound of a Train, which he recorded and put on the record And Then.
Wow.
And so if you ask Ilsa, his widow, she will tell you it's the favorite song of mine that she's ever written, she's ever heard. Because it reminds, I think he would choose to record it because at that point in time, they were spending a lot of time away from each other.
Wow.
And at Michael's house, around 10 o'clock at night, there was a train, right? So it was always, that's what that song is about. But he honored me by doing that song and recording it, and then of course I recorded it for Walk This Road.
That's unbelievable. Thanks for sharing that story.
You bet.
Coming up to your new album,
Right.
You release a song, and now this had to be one of the toughest things you had to do.
So one of those mornings in February when I knew that he was pretty sick, I had this lick that had tumbled out into your hands. The way I write is I'm up pretty early in the morning, sometimes 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. I make coffee, I light candles, I set the lights of the house, I do some meditation, I let Martin the dog out, and then I sit down to write. And it's pretty much, I try to do that as often as I can. And I had this lick, it just tumbled into my hands, and all of a sudden, I don't know where it comes from, I don't know where this music comes from. It could be, in the air, it could be the music. I don't believe it comes from me, I think it comes through me, right? So the whole music was just right there. It was right there. And then I had the title, which is something that I say a lot to people. I say steady on. That means steady on means hang in, one day at a time. Keep that raft inflated, float downstream. That's what steady on means to me. Just get through it, And it was really, I think, a phrase that I took from, being close to some people that were close to Chrissy Hind, and my friend Kathy Hind said that Chrissy used to always say onward, and that meant the same thing to her, onward.
Yeah.
So I sent the song to Michael in a WAV file on our phone, like we do, songwriters, and I said, here's the title. Now, I'd sent him a bunch of stuff over the years.
Yeah, yeah.
Usually it'd be like, if no response meant, no, I'm not into that. Sometimes you'd ask him, dude, you get that thing I sent you? And be like, oh yeah. And sometimes it'd be like, nope, I don't hear it. Or no, or the hardest one would be like, yeah, send me more. That meant I don't.
Wow.
But this one, he waited a couple days and he sent me a text back, said, I love it, let's write it. And so I intended to write the song with him. I wanted him to put his lyrics in it. And then shortly after that, he was diagnosed. So it probably was around this time. I looked back to see when I did the first rough of the lyric. It was July 29th of 2020.
Wow.
So it had to be right around that time. Because I know I was messing around with lyrics, but I didn't really have anything, so I sent it to him. And so then, and of course we know, but by this time, last year was right around this time, late September, mid-September. I think it was the 20th of September he got the diagnosis. And yeah. And then it was a rush on to finish the record. So
You know he'd be proud of you. That song is just, it says everything. The words mean everything, you know?
In March, I finished it. I sat down and all the words just came out. It was
just natural.
It just came out. And I was doing song, and Ryan Humbert, my producer, we were putting songs together in demos. He said, well, you got anything else? I said, yeah, there's a song, I don't know. I told him the story. He goes, really? I said, yeah. I said, I'll send it to you, but I don't know. And then he called me later. He goes, I said, dude, I just don't know. He said to me, you have to record it. So we did. And I didn't tell the guys at rehearsal what we were doing. I just said, hey, there's another song. And so we kind of played through it once or twice at rehearsal, because we only had one rehearsal for the record, because I like things to be on edge when we go in the studio. And then we cut it in 3 takes, all the rhythm together.
Wow.
And the guys just really did a great job with it. And singing it was really hard. Asking Jennifer Lee to sing on it was really hard. She graciously accepted. I know it was hard for her to sing that. I know we had a lot of hugs. And then, you know, just finishing it. And meanwhile, Angelo, our photographer, videographer for the record, had been capturing us. We were doing that. And he was like, I think I've got enough for a video here.
Wow.
So the idea morphed into releasing the song and the video at the same time. We worked a lot to get that together. Angelo and Ryan and I did a lot of work together, as did Jimmy Stewart. And then we released it on August 6th of this year. And I think at this point in time, it's had over 10,000 views, or maybe even more. I don't know. I quit counting.
You know, she makes that song with you. I mean, her sweet voice in that song just absolutely makes it.
Reminds us all of those harmonies. And, you know, Jennifer and I had never recorded a track together. I think she feels probably, you know, she might have done it differently or whatever. But just being there, just her enormous generosity of being willing to record that song with me. Because it was obviously, you know, and then we had to ask her back to do the video, and that was super hard for her.
Yeah.
But she was, again, gracious and kind and decided to do it. It was a lot of tears.
I'm so glad. So the fans, everybody was so glad that she got through it.
Yeah.
Because it really, the overwhelming support on that song.
But I don't listen to it too much. It's hard.
It's got to,
I can't imagine. I listened to it. I started to listen to it. I think I told you the night, some fans asked me to play it last night, and it was on the list. And then I looked at it when I was up on stage, and I went, don't think I can do that tonight.
Yeah.
So hopefully on Monday night I'll be able to do it and play it. But I hope to be able to get through it. Things work themselves out. Right now we're all dealing with our grief in our own way. And,
are you surprised at the overwhelming support from that song?
You know, I think that my producer Ryan Humbert prepared me for it, because I never really can see. It's always surprising to me that anyone gives a shit about my music.
No, musicians always say that.
But I'm always surprised.
I don't get it.
And but I think that's not the reason we do it. We do it, and we don't really own it. I think if we're all honest, we'll all say we don't really own what comes out. It really comes from a different place. Maybe we're the vessel the water's in, or something like that, or the pot that the spaghetti's cooked. I don't know if I can make an analogy, but I can tell you that it's really, you'd have to be pretty boldly arrogant to believe that it all comes from you.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't. It's out there, and we're the vessel that it's channeled through.
Well, my personal story to that song would be, I was listening to your interview on 98.5 with Paula Baelish, and I love Paula. I mean, listened to her for years. I mean, the pain that she probably has to go through going to work every day, and I've seen them, but her interview with you, and that, the way she segued into the song, I listened to about 30 seconds, and I couldn't take it anymore.
I know.
I mean, you wrote such a gem, you know. I had to pull over, and I did what everybody else done, you know. Yeah. The song really hits you pretty hard, and I thank Paula for being such.
We'll always have that song. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We'll always have that in it. And I would like to say to the fans that I feel so fortunate that the song came through me.
Yes.
Because, you know,
we all are.
I will tell you a funny story about Michael. I still feel he's circling around like an orb, you know, because you guys were there one time. I was playing at Public Square, and I started to do a Stanley song, and a mic stand that has been reliable for me for 20 years, all of a sudden decided to go down right when I started playing.
I never seen anything like it.
And then later, when I was playing at a different time,
But didn't it do it that day twice?
the mic stand, when I was playing at that same place in Public Square, the mic stand started going like this and started moving away from me. I'm like, dude, okay, I get it, man. But I still feel when I pick up an instrument that he left me some instruments which are pretty amazing. You asked me to bring some things to show you what, you know, was important for me, and I guess
let's see what
the number one thing that he left for me is you know, he wrote us all letters.
Oh wow!
And this is the guitar.
That is absolutely amazing.
You know, and Michael always was like, you know, and if you don't mind, I'll talk a little bit about the letter that he wrote me.
Please do that.
Michael wrote us letters, and one of the things he said to me is, if you're reading this by now, you'll never have to read this font again, which I thought was funny as shit, because he had his own special font. But he also said that I probably made it to the next place, and I'll keep an eye out for some batshit crazy guitars for you, because he always knew that he and I had this, like, I always want to play some, like, oh, that's a really weird guitar, let me play that one, right? Like a weird instrument, like a mandocello or a mandolin, or, you know, that was my role in the band, is to play the weird stuff, you know. And he also said a couple other things which were very, very kind to me. He said that, you know, that he didn't think I would make it being sober, and that I had proved him wrong.
That's very powerful.
Yeah.
Very powerful.
And he also said that I was a better songwriter than I thought. So that was a compliment to me. And that was a real compliment. And so,
tell us what this means to you.
So this record, this guitar, every time I play it, it's Michael. I remember him playing it a couple times. See, Michael was just, and forgive me for saying this in such a crude way, but he was a dirty little whore when it came to guitars, right? He would buy them and sell them, buy them and sell them. And you know, he'd be like, and if I found out something that was cool, I'd be like, man, dude, have you seen about this? He goes, yeah, I already had it, I sold it. I'd be like, bitch, I just found out about that. You know, and he'd be like, yeah, it was over this, right, you know. And then that was like our joke. It'd be like, dude, he goes, yeah, I already had it. Like, okay. Wow. You know, because he didn't have a lot of vices, but we all would talk a lot. I smell something cooking here. We would all talk about gear, you know, music, amps, guitars, and stuff like that. So he left me this guitar. He willed it to me, and he knew that, you know, and so I got it just in time to play it on the overdubs of Steady On. And this is the guitar that you hear that sounds really angelic with all the effects on it. So, and I also played it on Lucky 7. I played it, all the solos that were on the record, which there's not a lot of guitar solos on the record. It's more of a groove record and a vocal record. And there's a lot of horn parts. And we got the horn players from the Vindies. And, you know, it's, it's a keeper, you know, and he left me a couple other things too, but this is really the keeper for me.
That's amazing, absolutely amazing.
Something like that.
Sweet, very sweet.
Yeah. And the third thing I thought I was going to share with you, but I don't think I can share with you now, is a voicemail he left me on my birthday a year ago, and I kept it. And it was like, Sauce Man, I might not be, I'm not sure if it is, but it might be, but I think it's your birthday. And
you sure you don't want to share it?
I think I'll keep it private, but
okay.
But what I found, what I will share with you about that voicemail is he left it for me on September 22nd. And I've since come to find out that he knew that his diagnosis was terminal on the 20th of September.
Wow.
And that was Michael.
Wow.
He would never, ever, ever, ever show, anything that would make you feel sorry for him. He never let you know he didn't feel, I don't know if people know this, but he suffered from a lot of different things. And he would be not feeling well frequently when we played concerts. And you never would have known it.
Wow.
Ever would have known it. Because he just wasn't that guy, And he taught me a lot about how to, his words, soldier through adversity. So, yeah.
We appreciate it. We know this is tough for all you guys to
I
do.
appreciate you guys even care. It makes a difference.
There's thousands of us that care.
We sit around in our house, and a lot of us are like, well, what are we going to do now with our own ass, So I guess I should say, just to finish up, my new record will be released on November 10th. There will be a concert which will have limited seating, only 200 seats. At the night stage. We just agreed to terms right now, and that's going to be on Saturday, November 20th. And so it'll be in Akron, Ohio. That'll be the record release party. You'll be able to get CDs there and pre-orders for vinyl, because vinyl takes forever to get made now.
Oh, I'm sure.
At some point, I think the vinyl will arrive, although they do make you pay for it up front. Ouch. So, we're hoping that the vinyl will arrive after Christmas. We're hoping before Christmas, but just the way the record industry is now, and people are all wanting vinyl and so little manufacturing capabilities.
Vinyl is seriously making a comeback right now.
Oh, it's a huge comeback, and I ordered a limited edition run of only 200 copies. It's going to be a commemorative of this record, Lucky 7. So they'll be expensive, but there'll only be 200 of them. So
all the kids at home watching this are going, Mom, Dad, what is vinyl?
Right. I think they probably know more than you think. But no, this is going to be a limited edition, only 200 copies. So, there's not going to be any promotional copies of this record. There's only going to be 200. And so, it's going to be a rare, very rare with special vinyl. It's going to be like Coke bottle, clear vinyl. And it's just going to be a commemorative of this record, Lucky 7. And we'll only do it one time. So
that's amazing.
That's going to be it. So then CDs, we ordered those too. And so hopefully people will buy them. Of course, it'll be available for download, but I will want to say, if you want to support your local artists, go directly to their website and buy it from them directly, because that's the way you can really support us financially.
What's your website?
My website is marcleyshannon.com. And also, if you want to follow us, please follow us on Bands in Town. So that's bandsintown.com, and look up Marc Lee Shannon and follow him, because then you can find out every place I'm playing, and you'll get little email reminders, because everybody likes email reminders that you're going to come. And also, Bandcamp is another place where you can find a lot of music. It's great. I like Spotify. I like all those things. Apple Music, those are great. But if you really want to support the artist, the lion's share of the money we can make are from sites like Bandcamp and those types of things. So please support them or buy it directly from us on our own websites.
Well, Marc, we want to thank you very much for taking the time. We know you're busy.
Thank you, guys.
From all the Michael Stanley fans, Resonator fans, the ones we talked to this morning that I said I was coming to interview, everybody wanted you to know we are family. We're here for you. We will support you. We're excited.
Just keep showing up. You know what I mean? Get to be 80 years old and stuff. You know what I mean? Help me get the walker on stage. Is all I'm saying. We're really blessed, and we all feel a tremendous sense of responsibility to the fans. We do.
The fans have been just so overwhelmed with you guys and what you guys have done. I mean, you see this happen with bands all the time, but you don't see what you see with Michael Stanley fans. You guys are Resonator family. These fans just love you guys. They want to know everything about you. That's the whole reason of doing these interviews. They want to know what you're doing, how you're doing, and you see that a lot when you go out there asking you.
So people are by and large almost always very kind. Almost always very kind. you know. So, I mean, it's not like, you know, we seem to have a really good tribe. So.
Nobody will ever understand. If they're not from the Midwest, they'll never understand the love from Michael Stanley and the Resonators. They'll never get it. But Mark Lee, thank you very much for taking the time.
Thank you, and thanks to all the fans out there that support us in our music.
Have a great day, sir.
Thanks,
appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Bye.